I don't know if you know this, like I had been covering the WNBA just from afar. And the season that I got my credentials was the same season you started. So we had our rookie year together. Yeah.
Welcome to the Jackie Ray Show. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Jackie Ray Show. I'm, of course, your host, Jackie Ray. We haven't done this podcast in a few weeks. That's because your girl's been busy. You would know that if you were following me on my social media, which you should be doing at Jackie Ray TV. Now, normally we don't talk sports on this podcast too much because I do like to keep things community focused, talk about what's going on in our community, how we can better our community. But I had the very esteemed pleasure to interview one of my favorite players in the WNBA. We started together and I hope we continue this journey together. And that is Olivia Nelson-Ododa. She is a center with the Connecticut Sun. Now you can see this interview coming up next, but before I get to this interview, because she's on the show, I felt I should take this opportunity to address some of these ridiculous narratives that I have seen floating around regarding Caitlin Clark and the players in the WNBA. This narrative that the players in the W are jealous of Caitlin Clark is complete BS. Full stop. Nothing else to say about that. And to be honest, it's coming from fans and it's coming from media personalities who have not really covered the WNBA before. They just haven't been in the trenches. They haven't gotten to know the players. To be honest, they haven't asked the players how they feel about the situation.
Last question. Everyone talks about how there's kind of a new feel, a new environment with the W. What feels new and different for you?
For the W?
Yeah.
Oh, I think the respect that we're getting finally, like that people are giving us the respect that we've deserved, that we've earned, like they're paying attention because this league's been phenomenal. It's been awesome, but people just finally woke up, and I think at this moment in time, people are paying attention to women's sports.
So I want to address something regarding Kennedy Carter. Kennedy Carter is a player that I'm quite fond of as well. I love her play. I think she is a player in the W that is completely slept on. This hard foul that was raised to a flagrant one from Kennedy Carter onto Caitlin Clark. That's a lot of C's, y'all. From Kennedy Carter onto Caitlin Clark, where people were like, oh, it was just a bad play. First of all, I'm not going to say it wasn't a bad play. I would say this, though. This is why I find it hard to like Caitlin Clark. And it has nothing to do with Caitlin Clark. But when I asked her that question, like, let's talk about, the attention you're getting, like, it's different. It's different for all the wrong reasons, which I'm not going to address today. We might address that on another show. But she didn't take the opportunity to say, hey, some of my fans are new here. They don't know any better. She didn't take that opportunity. And for me, if you've not been following me for any length of time, you don't know, but you should. I like players that are complete beings. She said, I'm just about basketball. No, you're not, because we all saw you draft night steady on your phone. So for you to say, oh, I'm not seeing that narrative, that just doesn't ring true. So you're just dodging it because you don't want to address the elephant in the room. I would have more respect for her if she said that. I don't want to talk about that because it makes me uncomfortable. I would have more respect for that. But to completely miss the narratives. Now, keep in mind, if you had been following the WNBA for any length of time, you've already seen this narrative because we talked a lot about the attention that Sabrina Ionescu was getting versus A'ja Wilson. Sabrina has no accolades outside of the All-Stars and the three-point competition. When A'ja Wilson's out here winning back-to-back championships, she's back-to-back MVP, Defensive Player of the Year, all-time bestseller with her book. Woman's out here doing big things in big ways, and she means a lot of things to a lot of people. And so then you have to ask yourself, what is this narrative behind that? I'm gonna let y'all do that because I don't really feel like getting into that. That's another podcast for another day, but we can do that. But here's the thing that I'm not a fan of with Caitlin Clark. And again, it's not her fault. I don't like her because her fans have been watching women's basketball in the grand scheme of things for 10 minutes. And you know how I know that? Because this Kennedy Carter narrative wouldn't be floating around if they knew who she was. If they knew that she was suspended indefinitely, basically fired from the Atlanta Dream because she was getting in a fight with her teammate. They would know that when she came to LA, she was benched by the Coach Fred Williams. He was the acting coach after Derek Fisher was fired. Kennedy Carter got in a situation there. Please go Google or search on YouTube Kennedy Carter getting in people's face. She is the player that if you talk trash, if you talk enough and you try to make it seem like your mouth can cash that check, she's going to check you to see if you can. I don't care If you are 9'2", she's going to get in your face. That is who she is. And if people knew that, if people have been watching the WNBA, they wouldn't say, oh, see, this is just, another example of a player that's jealous of Caitlin Clark. The thing I didn't like about that situation had nothing to do with that foul. That foul is just typical. First of all, every foul that I have seen against Caitlin Clark is typical. It happens to most rookies when they come into the league. This is basketball. This isn't the nursing home. Y'all know that, right? It's a game. It's a physical game. Contrary to popular belief, basketball is a contact sport. So I don't begrudge any of the players on any of the hard fouls that they've issued Caitlin Clark, because you're going to earn your money today. The thing that I did see, though, that I do agree with Matt Barnes a little bit, there is a disconnect. You cannot convince me otherwise. There is a disconnect between Caitlin Clark and the players on her team. Because when she got knocked down by Kennedy Carter, Aaliyah Boston kind of looked at her. She took a beat. She took several beats before she went over there and helped her up. Caitlin Clark, as her team is coming out dancing in the hallway, she's just walking eyes front. She's not joining in the festivities with her teammates. When they come out, when they're at home and they're introduced and they do their little handshakes, she doesn't participate. So what we really should be asking, if y'all want to spin a narrative, ask yourself, is she likable to her teammates? Because in truth, she don't have to be likable to the whole league. She can be the enemy of the whole league if she wants to be. That's fine. But she's positioning herself to be the victim. And that's triggering for a lot of us, for this white woman to be playing the victim right now. I'm going to just let y'all know that now. It is very triggering for her to play the victim instead of saying this part of the league. And maybe she should do what her fans should do, take maybe 15 minutes and just go on a journey on WNBA history. You're not the first, you won't be the last, and you're not special in that way. I'm sorry to tell you that. You're not special in that way. So your fans are making it toxic. We appreciate all the attention you're bringing. We do. But we don't like your fans. You need to check your fans. But with that, that's all I'm going to say about that. But I'm going to get into someone that I find truly special, amazing. Her heart is amazing. I just can't wait to see her journey continue to rise and just be a very successful career in the WNBA. So now I would like to introduce you to the player, the woman, and hopefully soon fashion model, Olivia Nelson-Ododa.
I think one of the things that I wanted to ask you, like right away, I remember when you came, for me, it was a whirlwind because it was the Liz Cambage effect. And of course, everyone had debriefed me on the Derek Fisher situation. And I was like, is it a situation? I love Derek Fisher. But then, with him coaching and kind of letting go of Candace, I never really saw, Liz and I had a great relationship as well. Just, her and I one-on-one, but I'm sure that was different. I know you started 30 games and then when she left, well, you played 30 games and then you started 6 when she left. Mm-hmm. Was it crazy in the locker room for you? Because I don't think that's a typical situation with all the media frenzy that was going on when you started. Was it crazy in the locker room for you?
I mean, I would say more so the media felt like it was crazy. I think that like the veterans that I had at the time really did a great job of just like allowing us to maintain our composure and like just the team camaraderie, like trying to finish up the season.
Yeah.
And of course, that was my first year. So I honestly didn't know what to expect. I didn't know what was normal, what was not. Kind of like, is this how the W rolls? Like, is it like I was just, trying to feel it out. But otherwise, like, I think, like, especially Nneka, like the older girls, Shanae, like, they really try to keep the locker room just, like, together and keep everything kind of, like, in-house with each other and, like, finish up the season, like, the best that we could that year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was the other thing that made me gravitate towards you. You were the first rookie that I saw that was just like a sponge, like, okay, what you got for me? What can I learn from you? I love that about you. What did you learn from Nneka?
Oh my gosh. It's like, what didn't I learn from Nneka? Like, seriously though, like on and off the court. I honestly think just talking with her, I learned more about how to try and carry myself as a pro more than anything. So like, obviously, I modeled like my basketball warm-ups after her, and like I was working with her like, all the time before the games and stuff. And, that was great. But more than anything, just like how she carries herself as a pro. And I was just like, wow, like I want to model myself after her, the way like she does her recovery, the way that she does her lifts, her pregame warm-ups, her pre-practice warm-ups. like her nutrition, like everything. And she was just kind of giving me some insight, some really valuable insight on the things that she does, like not only just at the gym, but like in life. Like just the way that she prepares for things is like insane. And so like it's no wonder that she's as successful as she is now and is still playing and has that like longevity because of the way like she really takes care of herself and really like prioritizes herself.
Yeah. I remember I used to ask Janae, I was like, when you want to relax, like, what do you do? And she was like, I eat the food that Nneka cooks. I was like, okay, can I try that? Did you ever get to hang out with them when she cooked?
No, not off the court like that.
Okay.
I think just being in LA was a little bit difficult. Just, you know, like it's so spread out. It's like, that's another thing too. Here in Connecticut, we're all kind of in the same location and it's smaller. So we get to hang out with each other a little bit more. But in LA, it was just different like that. But I mean, just like I said, talking with her, like picking her brain, I could get all of that. I mean, I remember she even had a chef that she worked with come in for the team and like prepare us meals for after the games, like that we could take home and stuff, because she knows like a lot of places were either closed or like it's hard to find like quality food right after a game like that instead of eating fast food. So she even had somebody come in and like prepare us meals sometimes and like bring us some stuff just for us to take home. So it was like little things like that. I was like, okay, like, you know, our vets, like she was really taking care of us.
Yeah, that's the thing that I always say about her. She seems so regal. Like you just naturally are like, okay, she's the leader. We'll follow her because she's got that real a heart for people, and I love that. So, what's something besides with Nneka? You said LA was all spread out. What did you learn being with the Sparks that was different than college? Aside from yes, the game is different, but as far as like being in the pro, and LA has this whole legacy thing that I think a lot of teams don't have. So, what did you learn in that experience?
I mean, first and foremost, like you go from such a like a small community in college where you have your girl, like you can walk next door and be with your teammates, stuff like that. What I had to really learn was like, okay, now I'm like really by myself. Like we're all spread out, but I'm really like by myself. I have to like run errands by myself. I have to do this. I have to communicate and get workouts in by myself. Like a lot of that stuff, like it's just so individual. So that was another thing too. And especially being in a big city like that for the first time ever. Like that was literally my first time being there. And just like I said, on my own. That was a pretty big learning curve for me at first. Like I really had to adjust to that and like figure out, okay, so like what do I do in my spare time? Do I even like to do anything in my spare time? Like what? Like I was just trying to like figure out things in that way. But then even like going off of like the legacy, the Sparks and stuff, it's so crazy. I love playing there. Like every time I came in for a shoot around, every time I came in for like a game and stuff, sometimes it would hit me where I'm like, holy crap, like I'm standing in the court where like Lisa Leslie played and like Kobe played and it was like, I was just like, I'm literally playing on the same court, same arena as these people, like the GOATs, like legends. And so that part to me, it tripped me up like every single time we played, because there were times like, you know, you're sitting on the bench or it's a timeout or like you run out for the first time and you hear the crowd and you're like, oh my God, like I'm really playing where these people play. So I think that was like hands down the coolest part to me, was just like the whole, and I still call it Staples Center because I always know it as Staples Center.
Crypto is such a terrible name.
I know. It's like I still know it as that. I will always know it as that.
Yeah.
But like going into the arena like that was so surreal for me, especially for my first year.
Yeah. I love that you said you didn't know what you wanted to do. When I first moved here, I'm from Colorado. So I like to go whitewater rafting and hiking. You can do that here, but you got to drive to it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So then it's like, well, do I like going to the clubs? No, not really. But then there's so many different kind of clubs, and you're like, well, maybe I do. Maybe I just haven't found the right club. And then I just ended up staying in the house a lot because I just didn't know.
Same. I'm not gonna lie. That was me my rookie year. I swear to you, because it was like, you know, sometimes you can step out, sometimes you go out and stuff, but for me, like, because I was trying to figure out so much with the W, like everything was just like that. I mean, like, think about it. I finished my college season, I want to say like a week or two into April. I got drafted mid-April, and then a week later I was in LA. Yeah. And so the month of April for me when I left college was just insane. So, and then you're like also trying to make the team too, because you know nothing's like guaranteed in that way. So that was just such a whirlwind for me that I feel like that whole summer I was like trying to catch up, like
Yep.
kind of like slowly, like, like low key playing catch up with it. Kind of like recovering from just like your whole life completely changing in like the blink of an eye like that. So when I look back on it though, I wish I did like get out a little bit more, like find different things I like to do a little bit more. But then it's like I don't regret either, like just kind of staying in and kind of just like figuring out, like doing my own thing and figuring out in that way too. Like I don't regret anything like that.
Yeah.
But like if I would definitely were to go back or, like in the city, I definitely know more things to do now. I know more people there. So like it makes it easier. It makes it so much easier now.
So now you're in Connecticut. So when you found out you were going to Connecticut, what was your first thought?
Wow. I was just like, first of all, I was shocked because I remember so vividly. It was 4 a.m. in Australia. So I was overseas. I got the call from my agent. Like, people are blowing up my phone, waking me up. And I'm like, what is going on? She's like, yeah, so you're being traded from LA to Connecticut. And I was just shocked because I was like, well, dang, like, I just came from there. I was like, I spent 4 years at UConn. So I was like, oh, I just came from there. But I was like, at least I know things. Like, at least I know places. It's not like I have to like restart all the way over. So I was still familiar with that. And the plus side too, which I love, is that I have a lot of friends from college that are still here. Like they're from Connecticut, like people I went to school with that don't even play any type of sports. It's just like relationships that I formed there, and they're still here. Like I can still hang out with them. They still come down to my games. Like so, it's like I had like people here. It's just like a lot of like familiarity and stuff, but I'm not gonna lie, I did love stepping outside of Connecticut for my first year and just like going to, like somewhere completely different. But then again, it's like coming back here, it's like I can't complain either, just because I know so much already in terms of things to do, places, people. Like it's okay too.
Yeah. I mean, I was bummed when I told you that. I was like, this don't make, I hit your mom up on Instagram. I'm like, man. She's like, girl, I know.
Oh,
it's like, this sucks for me.
They kind of loved it too, like me being back on the East Coast, because it's easier to go from Georgia to like up to Connecticut for the games. So at the same time, they're like, we love you, like being able to go somewhere different, try new stuff, whatever. But they're like, I'm not gonna lie, like it makes it easier, like coming up and seeing you, visiting you, all of that. And it's crazy. My dad literally just drove up right now, so he's on his way. He's literally on his way from Georgia right now to come up here and stuff. So to them, it's like better because they could just get up here much easier.
Yeah, you can't beat that. Your mom is so nice.
Oh, thank you.
Like, she just hit me up.
I think she loved your report. Like I'm not so much on Twitter like that anymore, but she's like, my parents are always on Twitter and they're always finding stuff. And I feel like they always like that. You were one of the reporters that they mentioned that they were like, oh my God, I love her. Like, she actually says like, good things. She does a really good job at what she does. So I remember them saying that.
Yeah, I remember the first time she DM'd me, I was like, oh my God, you're Olivia's mom. She's like, I am.
Yeah.
So cool. And that's so great. I know how important your family is to you. Now, how are you bonding now with your teammates and stuff? How is that going for you?
Good. I mean, I think it's like year 2. A lot of the people that were there last year are back. So I feel like that makes it easier going into a season. And it feels like kind of just like picking up where we left off in a way, where it's like we don't have to do so much teaching, like kind of restart and stuff. It's like, okay, we also have new additions. Like we have new people coming in and just kind of adding on top of what's already been building.
How are you guys leveling up as a team? How are you leveling up within the team?
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy now. Like, I'm not going to say I feel like a rookie because I would say that's a stretch. But we have a lot of veteran players on this team, like a lot of older players. So I'm still like picking their brain. I'm still learning because there's so much to watch. Like they really got a lot of experienced players in the off season coming to this team too, and players that have actually been here before too, or have been coached by Steph and just like have that relationship already. So I'm still like just watching everything. Like I'm still watching how they play and just things that like older players are thinking of, like players at that age are just thinking of, and the things that they do. So it's still kind of cool, like watching it from that aspect too, because now it's like I'm the youngest on the team because there's we don't have any rookies, we don't have anybody, we didn't get any young ones. So in a way, I'm just still like, okay, like still got to keep learning, still got to be a sponge, especially like paying attention to what the older players do.
Who's the one that you kind of, I know you kind of watch Nneka and her workouts and things. Is there a Nneka equivalent for you in Connecticut?
I would say like with AT and Breezy, because like
Yeah.
position wise, it's easier to like ask some questions, or like they're, helping me with that stuff. So I definitely say like both of them, just being able to pick their brains, talk to them, like listen to them in practices and warm ups, and like just following along with what they're saying. Because I mean, like they're both all stars. They're both, doing things that I eventually want to do, and they're successful at it. So obviously, I'm going to listen to those people and like get as much instruction from them as possible.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Okay, so now let's get to the Skims. I saw you.
Oh,
everybody in the WNBA got Skims. I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
did y'all all get the Skims? I feel so left out.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I love Skims. It's just it's not a paid advertisement. It's not a paid advertisement right now, but it's like I love it. I think it was a dope campaign. I love like what she's doing and like incorporating the W and NBA with it. And a lot of the times just the NBA would get stuff like that, or they would just get that attention. And I love now that's being brought to the W, because it's so important now, especially with all this exposure and all this attention that's on us. And so I love the product personally. Like I bought it in my own like free time with my own money before, and now just being able to like be a part of a little campaign like that, I feel like it's empowering. I love it. I feel great in it. So like I said, this is not a paid ad, but shout out to them, because I like what they're doing, especially like with the W and just those activations and trying to get players like that more exposure.
I have to say, like, I'm not a big underwear person. I'm like, I buy it when I need it. I don't really think about it like that. But when I saw all of the WNBA players, different shapes, sizes, and everybody looked good in them, that's always my thing, because you're long and thin. So sometimes stuff is either too big or it's never the right fit. So to see all of you guys, and I think that's when it clicked for me, because at first I was like, I don't understand this. But then I was like, oh, okay, because as a woman, I could look and I could relate to somebody's body type.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, okay, I could get this now, because it looks so comfortable.
It is actually, it's so comfortable. But I think going like on that point too, if you look at the marketing, like, and I pay attention to stuff like this too, because like you said, my body type is completely different from the majority of like women in America. And so it's hard for me to find stuff that really like exactly fits me, and also have that representation too. So a lot of times we find it's more fair skinned white people in these ads and in this marketing, and thin people too. And it's like you really find a mix of from white to black women to darker shade, like it's all in between. And I think she's been really consistent with her marketing in that aspect. Like since I've been wearing Skims, like I've seen her purposely try and create ads where it's very inclusive. So I also like that point too. Like, because that makes a difference. It's like, you want to see people that look like you or like resemble you, or, you want to feel like you have that type of representation when you're wearing something like that, or when you're actually like thinking of purchasing something. You just don't want to go in there and be like, okay, well, I don't see anybody wearing this that looks like me. Like, is this even made for me? Will this even fit? So I know a lot of people have those doubts. I have those doubts with a lot of products myself. So like, I think it's dope. Whoever's in charge of her marketing stuff is hitting it on the head right there, because like it does matter, especially nowadays where people are trying to find the right stuff for them, trying to find the right fit, and they want to see that representation.
Yeah, the other thing I've noticed too is all this attention that the W is getting, and I have to try to channel my inner Nneka and just be like graceful, because I'm like, y'all just now noticing that the W is dope. Like so that there's that aspect of me that gets a little upset by the newfound attention, but at the same time, the attention is needed. So it's a difficult thing for me to mentally balance. Where do you fall on that?
I mean, I would say the more attention, the more exposure, the better, honestly.
Yeah.
I love, and I think that's like when you look at the history of the NBA, I feel like it obviously didn't start out the way it is right now, right? So you have the more attention, more rivalries, more controversy. Like those are the things that really garner that attention and garner those fans to come and to stay and continue to watch it. So I love that they're highlighting certain people. I love that they're highlighting rivalries. I love that they're highlighting super teams. Like I love like all of that, because it's what makes a sport what it is. And it makes it fun. Like if there's no competition, if there's no like well, maybe this person should do this and maybe this person should do that, and just some type of controversy, like I feel like it's not as fun, like it's not as entertaining. And so I love that now that aspect is being brought out in the W. I feel like it's always been there, but now it's really being highlighted. So I love that people are also trying to capitalize on it and like take advantage of like the spotlight that's being brought on, like not only the women that are really highlighting the media, but then like you have people that go to watch those players and then see other people in the teams that they are like, oh wow, so this player is like this or this. So it like brings more attention to just everybody. And I think that's just literally how our league is going to continue to grow.
Yeah, it's so great to see the new team coming on board, you know, the charter flights. Just as an athlete, I think sometimes when I get an argument with people who don't really understand, can you explain what taking a commercial flight does for you as an athlete as far as your body goes?
Oh my God. Where do I begin? Like, I mean, in college, you know, I was fortunate enough at my school to have all charter flights for 4 years. And it's like you hit the pro level. And when you're playing so many games in such a short amount of time, and where you're playing at least 3 games, maybe 4 a week, like it's back to back to back to back to back. And those travel days, I mean, we're waking up sometimes 3, 4, 5 a.m. in the morning to catch a bus, then to get on a flight or go to the airport, go through security, get on a flight. Flight may be delayed, may be canceled. You may have to wait for X amount of time. Then to fly the actual amount of time you're in the air, then it's like, you know, you're dealing with if you have injuries or, you know, like you just finished a game or something, you have like swelling and like, you know, you need your body to recover and stuff. And it makes it even harder to like recover in that way. And then you land, you got to get your back. Like it's literally takes an entire an entire day's worth of travel that really with a charter flight, you get to where you're going and then you have the rest of the day just to recover. And a lot of the times when we're taking those commercial flights, we don't have time to really recover. Like we don't have time by the time we get to where we're going. Like you don't have as much time to rest, recover, and recuperate and get ready for the next game. And so, I mean, I'm in my 3rd year now, but I mean, there's women that's been dealing with this. I mean, since the beginning of the W. I mean, 20 plus years. A lot of these veterans have been dealing with this, and it's long overdue. I mean, it really is. But I'm glad now that I mean it's a start, and I know they're still trying to figure things out, and I know things aren't going to be exactly perfect. But I'm just glad that now it's an option.
Okay, so how's life outside of basketball? One thing I've always said about you is you should be gracing the covers of all kinds of fashion magazines. So where are we with that?
Hey, it's a work in progress.
Okay.
Listen, but I mean, I'm working with Christina Nigwe. I definitely want to shout her out because she kills like my walkthrough fits, everything. Like, so I work really close with her, not just in styling, but like consulting too. And she has her own agency where she like has clients and, you know, she's able to work with them and like try and get them into things like that. And so, you know, that's definitely a goal of mine. But I love working with her. She's like brilliant in what she does and brilliant in her craft. I cannot emphasize this enough. So it's always fun working with her too. I have a great relationship with her. And I just want to like continue building on that. I mean, she makes like that's an aspect for me that's like just shows like my creative side, like my expression, like the way I want to express myself is like through dress up and through trying things on and clothes and stuff. And then, you know, the way she expresses herself is by creating all that and like, you know, having those vision boards and creating the clothes, making them like, so both of us, I think just, you know, collaborating with that is like the best because I love playing dress up. I love, you know, modeling stuff and showing and showcasing that. And she loves making everything and just coming up with it. So she's awesome with it.
I can't wait. I just remember I want to be like, oh, I'm here exclusively with Olivia because I knew she was gonna get this magazine.
I got you. The first person I'm gonna be like, yep, bring her back here. We gonna talk. Yeah.
Yes. Yes, I have been. Every now I go to your page and I'm like, see, this could be on a magazine.
Thank you.
Like, I am definitely one of your biggest fans. I'm so proud of you. Thank you for taking the time. Okay, before we go, tell me 3 things that you love to do just to wind down and get to your happy place.
Okay, 3 things. You put me on the spot. Oh my God. Honestly, I love finding a good show or movie and just sitting there and doing absolutely nothing. Like that's probably top one right now. I do like getting outside. Like I do like, especially if the days are nice, like, growing up in Georgia, I was always outside. So I love just sitting out there, baking a little bit, tan a little, like, I love stuff like that. And then I would say like probably another thing. Ooh, I love going to the movie theater. That's also a really good one. If there's a good movie out, I'll just go. I'll be like, okay, it's playing right now. I'll go get tickets and just head there by myself. Like I love stuff like that. So I do actually love like physically going to movie theaters too. I guess I just like shows and movies. I don't know. But it's definitely a way to like take my mind off stuff, go wind down, get out the house too. So I think that's important. That's what I learned from LA my first year. Figure out how to get out the house, figure out things to do. So, if there's cool stuff to do around in Connecticut, like I'm always tuned into that. I'm always looking for things just to kind of like unwind and stuff. So it really depends on what's going on, but I definitely say just getting out the house too. That's important to me.
Thank you again for Olivia Nelson-Ododa for coming on the show. Clearly, I have a fondness for her, so I'm going to follow her on her journey throughout her career and beyond. Make sure you check the WNBA schedule. She's coming to a city near you or a city close to you. She will be here if you're in LA. I believe it's June 9th, but I will post the date for the LA game in the description. I will also post a link to her pages in the description. Make sure you check out JackieRayTV.com for the latest in news and sports. That site is still under construction, y'all, but it is a work in progress and it is coming together. There's also a place there where you can donate if you wanted to contribute to this work I do. I would greatly appreciate that. But in the meantime, guys, make sure you remember life is short. So make it good. We'll see you next time.